Welcome to Slow News Day. I'm Steve Poikinen. Sarah Hall is not with us today. She is under the weather. So I am still here bringing artists, activists, organizers, and agitators who are pushing back against late-stage capitalism here in the heart of the empire. And I'm pleased today to welcome back our first repeat guest, too, by the way, who was also our first guest, Lori Holetz. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you for having me again.
I'm glad that we got a little bit of rain today here in the Santa Cruz Mountains for the first time in, 10 months?
Wow.
Yeah.
Very dry. So we need it, yes.
People were having a difficult time breathing out here. I know that I had to spend each and every day of last week during the day doing something like digging a trench or large dump runs or I was all day long out there breathing that, and then would
and exerting oneself.
go to my second job for an additional 8 hours on top of that. And it was I puked once. I did. It just, my body shut down. I had to,
It's been rough, very hard, very toxic. Drink a lot of water.
Yeah. Do you have, what's your overall take on the wildfire situation here in California?
No question, all of these events are getting more frequent and more intense. There's a lot of levels to that. A lot of it is earth cycles, natural earth cycles that we just happen to be coinciding with, exacerbated by, of course, pollution, use of petroleum products. So, and just human activity on the planet is causing a lot of havoc. I'm hearing more and more about other stuff that's going on out there further in the reaches.
Right.
That I really believe is, since everything is energy, really messing up the subtle energy fields. And we hear talk of the geoengineering of the weather and the chemtrails, and them releasing aluminum and boron in the air, very toxic things. And then we're seeing skyrocketing levels of Alzheimer's. One of the leading things they think causes Alzheimer's is aluminum poisoning.
Yeah.
So there's so many layers to this, so many layers. And I do see, the redwoods responding to this. The trees are taking a huge hit.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing yellowing and browning that I don't ever remember seeing before.
On live trees.
On live trees.
Yeah.
So I think, all of these events are increasing. The planet's drying out. We're moving, not only, yes, there's climate change, towards things getting hotter, but in reality, we're also moving towards an ice age. So we've got these, juxtaposed dynamics that are happening on such an enormous scale, and we're just making it worse.
Yeah, one of the lesser known things about Governor Jerry Brown is how cozy he is with the fracking industry.
Yeah.
And that a substantial part of California is being slated for or currently is being fracked. And data on whether or not fracking helps cause or causes earthquakes is not allowed to be incorporated into the USGS's or even the California Geological Society's earthquake models. I understand completely where you're headed and what you're talking about when you say further out into the reaches. That's that's about 50 to 60% of this audience. You know,
Yeah.
if not
Those of
more.
us here on Earth.
Um,
Um,
but what we're and you're 100% right that everything is energy, but I think that dumping aluminum and barium even into uh, into the atmosphere, and you couple that with, we do have mismanagement of the National Forest Service and the State Forest Service. We're not necessarily.
We have mismanagement of the entire planet right
Well,
now.
yeah, but there's an either deliberate, if subtle, kind of hand at play that when you start to look at just how completely mismanaged the system is in general, that we no longer have fire season. We have like fire year.
Yeah.
The conditions have been created for a ton of these events to occur, and it happens to be lately, in the last couple of years, along the path for California's proposed
Fracking.
bullet train project.
I think there's just so many layers to this. And
That the contract to which was just awarded to Dianne Feinstein's husband's company.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you could scrounge around in the political sewer forever.
It's a big
I
club.
have my perspective is way bigger than this.
Yeah.
And when we talk about bad politics or whatever, these are the last death throes of the cabal. They're going down, and they know it, and they're scrambling, and they're trying to make their last-ditch efforts at making, billions of dollars. that
So
aren't
who
spent and all this.
specifically are you talking about when you say
The
cabal?
cabal?
Yeah. Is this
We
Q's definition of the cabal?
Who?
Q Anonymous?
No.
Okay.
This is going far back, founding fathers, and we're getting into a large number of the very big families. You're looking at the Rockefellers, and you're looking at the Carnegies, and you're looking at all of these very large, DuPonts, and that have created these big industries that are chemicals and petroleum and all of this stuff, heavily invested in all of this stuff, big money. Big banking, huge bank. These are global banks.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve is not. People don't even know this. It's not even part of the government. It is run by 4 large banks that are the cabal, and their interest is to continue to make as much money and become as powerful and gain as much, and put the small man down. They're doing this through everything, through pharmaceuticals. They're doing it through medical Genentech. Oh, God. So backing way back, because like I said, I could dig around in this sewer forever. Where does it get me? Nowhere, okay, other than possible more assassination attempts against my life.
I would like to get to that at some point in the show if you're comfortable
sure.
with that.
But backing up, what these very limited in their sight people at the top, who are perpetuating fracking, who are perpetuating pharmaceuticals, who are perpetuating destruction of millions of people on all kinds of levels, now reaching out into all countries, okay? The thing that is so unbelievably funny about this to me, besides the fact that it's essentially, killing millions of people, which is not funny at all,
Right.
is that there is a spiritual event that is taking place. This is what we talked about with the Hopi. That nobody's going to stop. I'm talking about, beings, spirit beings, spirit guides, energies that are so much more powerful than these little men. in the cabal that are going to, are all about money and profit at the poor man's expense. So they've had their time. The patriarchy has had its time. And there isn't going to be, they can scramble and they can do their latchest efforts and they can, run over whoever and whatever in the process and do as much damage as they possibly can. War, profiteering, the whole thing. It's going to end. It's ending. And this is their death throes. And it's like, let them go through their death throes, God help us. This is ending. It's had it is, I think you said it last time, it's not a sustainable environment globally. And we've gone global with the internet and the news, and we can get everything. And everything's that, it has changed so dramatically, even in the last 10 years or the last, my lifetime has just been extraordinary. We used to look at people that had, people that were 100 years old and say, oh, what have you seen in your lifetime? Now it's like going lightning speed. And what a person sees in their lifetime is extraordinary and phenomenal. And, these kids growing up, they don't even know who bands were from 20 years ago. So the amount of the information stream is phenomenal. And this is causing an evolution of humans. And you're either going to get with it, open up your minds and your hearts, and expand and evolve, ascend, or you're going to be done away with, and that's it. And no human gets to have a say about this. No human. Okay, that's just the bottom line. This is happening, and we're seeing it through the weather changes, and we're seeing it through, cancer. We're seeing it through all kinds of ways that these large individuals, these cabal, have used to put us down. And AIDS, HIV, these things have all been targeted towards specific people. We know this.
Yeah.
All the what is it? Conspiracy theories. They're all true. They're all pretty much true, and that's an unfortunate realization.
Well, I think I've said this on the show before. That you could literally sit down in a coffee shop and pull up the CIA's website and read off their website their own information about their programs, projects, and missions, and people will call you a fucking tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist while you're doing nothing more than just reading off of their website. We're so conditioned and programmed from the moment we can see, speak, and hear. And I have conversations with people that are civil conversations with people that I've known for quite a long time, about, they still have this 1950s propaganda reel vision of socialism or what it is to be an American, and they are completely unaware that the talking points that they're using are manufactured talking points, and it gets frustrating, but it also, like, once somebody starts to question whether or not they're repeating propaganda, if they're any kind of genuinely open-minded or critically thinking, well, then go back and be like, hey, wait a minute, know. All right, so I agree with you that there's some bells you can't unring, Right. And the evidence of that is all of the social media purges that have been happening, and the just nonstop reinforcement of the narrative that we live in a country where a center-right party and a far-right party occupy 100% of the political spectrum, and that there's no other way to think.
There's no balance, and there's no in between. And I want to know where it was written that those two parties have to disagree. Where is it ever written? I want to see that in writing, that it says that they need to be on opposite sides.
Well, more often than not, they're on the same team. they're just disagreeing a little bit over some social
They
justice
disagree
bullshit.
over everything. It's always something, and there's.
Well,
I
that's
don't see a
manufactured
huge,
outrage.
there's not a. I don't see an intentional effort to come to center and agree. I'm not seeing that dynamic established in our government.
Well-
okay, and that's what I'm getting. No, we're moving past taking sides.
Yeah.
Globally, we're moving towards one tribe spirit. Okay, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Where we've got one global dollar, one global, languages that span across. We're moving towards this incredible homogenization. And this is what I'm saying is like we are so focused in on what's going on right now. This is irrelevant. It's all falling apart. In 10 years, this isn't even going to matter. This is all crumbling, is what I'm saying. We're living in a house of cards. It's coming down. So I don't see getting terribly upset. It's like, let them do their thing. Let Trump say something every single day that just jams his foot further down to the point where now it's sticking out his own ass. And let them take themselves out, because this is what they're doing. It's like I keep telling people, just stay out of the line of fire. Stay out of the line of the flying bullets. And lie low, take care of your home, stay close to home, and love one another right here. People go home. I think I said this last time. So I think that there's a much, much, much bigger picture operating, that if people just settle down and take care of their business, that all of this other nonsense is going to take care of itself with the help of higher guides. And I strongly believe, I think you said one of the things we wanted to touch on today was people from out there. There is an enormous contingency, a global or galactic federation that is watching out for all of this, that people don't even consider. That's just crazy, right? Well, guess what? No, it's not. And they've been watching all of this go on for millennia. And it is all in the intention of the evolution of human beings. So when things get darkest before the dawn, right about now, we're seeing people who are in the highest power behave the worst. So
Okay.
let them
I
go
mean,
through their
have
days.
we had people in power not behave like? I mean, I understand
Has it
that.
ever been to this degree? Seriously.
No,
It's laughable.
No, it is. I call
Take this
it.
politics seriously.
I call it cartoonish. I do.
It's beyond that.
And well, yeah, but cartoonish is a decent descriptor for the fucking just. It literally is written by Hollywood. I'm gonna have a guest on here soon, who is a TV script writer, and who has worked with the agency contracted by fucking the DNC at least, and I'm like, is that why it sounds like a bad fucking sitcom, homie? Like, is that why it fucking?
And Hollywood's controlled by the same people.
And
It's the same
yeah.
business. And so this is why they're all being exposed. We have come into the great time of the truth. All right, we've come into this. This was predicted by the Mayans. It was like, what's the Mayan calendar about? I mean, it's all there. It's just nobody's paying attention to this. They just say, okay, 2000 came, we didn't see anything big happen. 2012 came, we didn't see anything big happen. Okay, well, I'm sorry, but it's all happening. It all triggered. It's all happening, and nobody is seeing this. And I'm just sitting back, just going, this is incredible. I cannot believe that people are not recognizing that these things are going down. I mean, I think sitting back and worrying about what our government is going through right now is about, it's a terrific waste of time. Like I said, let them take care of themselves. They seem to be doing themselves in pretty well. So I think if we just, not get excited, stress causes cancer. I'm not going to get excited about this stuff. It infuriates me beyond description. It's offensive on such a level. It's so disgraceful that I don't even have words for it. It makes me physically ill. All of it, whether it's the fracking in, especially on tectonic plates that are major. Yes, I get it. I get this all. But
I mean,
the level of stupidity is beyond phenomenal.
no, it's not
just,
stupid. It seems more like a malevolent spell than stupidity.
Well, there is that as well.
And
I'm certain that there are aspects of this, and this is when I get into the cabal. You know, and this even taps into a bit of Freemasonry, and we can run this all the way back into Egypt if you like. What they don't know, and what 99% of the population doesn't know out there, is that, like I said, there are higher things operating. And I happen to have gone to many places. I was in the Great Pyramid in Egypt, and I just sit back and laugh at all the goofy propaganda they're putting about what this place was about. I know exactly what it was about, and they haven't hit on it yet. These were halls of great learning, and that was a library. Nobody was buried there. And they use these as sound chambers, and they use as great healing. And we hear about pyramid power, and we hear about all this stuff. Yeah, these were all, it was all physics, it was all energy, and it was a brilliant use of natural resources on this planet. What I am most highly concerned about is that the Earth she is the greatest creation of all the bodies out there in the heavens. She is Eden. And we have turned it into hell. Now, the question becomes, can we bring it back? There's no question in my mind that if we got rid of all the humans, like right now, okay,
is that within what, 250 years? Is that what the average estimate? I know it's within 30 that stuff starts to.
Yeah.
So,
and I remember this great woman, Susan Weed, who's out of Woodstock, and still teaches herbology there. It is brilliant. And I remember saying, being really concerned about the pesticides and the toxins and things like this on a global scale, because now they've gone everywhere. And she said, everything is made from organic chemicals and has the potential to break back down into those organic chemicals. So that took a lot of oomph out of the earth damage for me. She can fix herself.
Right.
The problem is, can she outrun the amount of damage that's been being done on a daily basis with people that just drive around and go, I know this is the situation, but I just don't care. And I know a lot of people like that. And I'm sorry, but we're getting to the point where I don't think they should be here using precious resources if they're going to take this careless attitude. And we have a president that is demonstrating this profoundly. And it's really coming down to a matter of just survival. Planetary survival. And I think that I really overstepped my bounds here.
No, you don't have.
I think
bounds.
if people are careless and really are insensitive and do not care and are not doing their best across their life to recycle and use less gas and everything they can do. I think it should be a spiritual law that they should not be allowed to continue. And I think somebody out there ought to take care of them.
So I'm not going to disagree. We
need to get rid of 1/3 of the population.
I'm definitely not going to disagree with that sentiment. What we're trying to do is I have 3 kids, but we're trying to put out as little waste as possible.
Yeah.
My wife actually wants to open up a zero waste store somewhere here in the valley.
I'm all about it.
Fuck, you said quite a bit there. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with that. I will say one quick thing about Trump, and then I don't care if we don't talk about him for the rest of our natural born fucking lives. Is that what I had hoped would happen, and what is to a degree happening, is that he would rip the mask off of exactly just how fundamentally intentionally corrupt and just pure fucking evil the people who are running our government are, you know.
I think he is doing that.
And to watch, well, and to watch it's to watch it be again couched into that all politics exists in the center right to far right bubble. Like to watch that narrative, it's starting to crack. But still, there's people that I love that were like cheering for Jim Acosta and want to see Julian Assange shot for publishing shit, you know. And it's like when they get him, when they get Assange, and it looks like they've already got all the I's and T's done up right, that's going to set a precedent that says we can legally now arrest anyone who prints anything that becomes sensitive to our narrative. And
so there goes our amendments.
And that's you know, Trump was on stage saying we love WikiLeaks, you know, and now he's like, I'm going to get this motherfucker. And so even among his own people, I'm hoping that is a good sign that he is not a unique and bold and brand new savior, nor is he a unique or brand new kind of monster.
No, he's a madman, no question about it, and I think he's profoundly dangerous.
I think he's profoundly mentally ill on a lot of levels, but I really think that his Alzheimer's is starting to kick in.
Yeah, he's
I'd be interested to see his medicine cabinet.
I'd
be totally interested.
But like I said, I think what gives me encouragement and is really my lifeline is the experiences I've experienced that are beyond human.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this last time. I literally have experienced. You can talk about pretty much anything, and I've experienced it. I walked apparently through dimensions in Spain, where I arrived in villages and there was not a human being on the entire planet. How do I explain that? Well, I couldn't at the time. Reflecting back now, I'm seeing that, like, again, there's so many more layers to the earth, and there's so much more we're not seeing. This is where we're getting into the ascension, and we're getting into fifth density, these types of things. And this is really where we need to focus as human beings right now, is opening our hearts. And all of this ugly is bubbling up. And the measure of grace and refinement in a human being is... and character, is how well we navigate these times in our own life and make choices around what's coming down. So I think part of it is to continue to look upward. It's really important, and we're moving closer to disclosure. We're moving, more and more people are talking and having open conversations about encounters they've had, whether it's with people from other planets, or different species of people from other planets, or the Bigfoot. I see your hat, you're wearing a Bigfoot hat. I've had experience with all of these beings, and the reality was there wasn't one single one of them that tried to hurt me. So a lot of that paranoid propaganda fear that, oh my God, they're out there and they're going to take over the world, Independence Day. I'm not going to say there's not rogue species, but the general consensus of what's out there is this federation that's really trying to help us evolve and save this planet and reverse the damage in a shorter period of time based on technology they won't even give us, because they've given us the internet, They've given us all this wireless. They've given us all this stuff. And we have gone, no balance again. A little's good. More is better. No, it's not. And so we've run amok with all of this stuff and are now experiencing, it's like the Roundup thing, repercussions 20, 30 years down the road of excessive use. And I think we have bigger concerns. I worry about the use of wireless technology and the impact that it's having on the human brain.
Oh, yeah,
All right?
without a
And
doubt.
we're wondering why more and more, mental illness is epidemic. And our food supply has gotten worse and worse and worse. So there's no nutrition, and we're getting our brains fried out. This is great. And then, yes, certain groups are being targeted. And then now we've got these fires going on, and they're talking about how, certain buildings are being literally with the dewies. Is that what they call them?
Dues, yeah.
And so this is all profoundly frightening, and I think we can sit back and we can get really paranoid and we can go down that rabbit hole and we can paralyze ourselves and become sick doing it. Or we can try to be on the side of goodness and do what we can in our communities, come together, talk and communicate, and open up some of these forums like we're doing here, and get some of this information out there because people need to settle down.
Yeah, one of the central themes of this show is finding non-governmental solutions to our personal, our personal family situation, or our revenue stream or whatever, our ability to eat, or this, that, and the other, and then in our communities, and then understanding that we need to be a bigger community, and exploring ways to do that is what we're about, but also understanding why this is necessary. Is also necessary. And I have a lot of friends that are involved in politics, and they when you corner them, will freely admit there's no fucking way anything is going to change in a fucking duopoly.
Yeah.
And
they don't know anyway.
And well, even in at least in more progressive circles, there are people that are starting to understand that these are not conspiracy theories. This is from the Santa Cruz Mountain clothing store there in Ben Lomond. I had to have a friend who has a conspiracy podcast called Rogueways. Shout out to Rogueways and Lindsay, who I would love to introduce you to at some point. And we did an episode on cryptids, and it was a Bigfoot episode. So when Janae saw the hat, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna throw this."
If you're really nice to me sometime, I'll actually speak Bigfoot.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I just.
Wow. I haven't been nice to you already. I feel like
You have.
I feel
You're very kind.
Yeah, I was listening to a friend of mine this morning. Not necessarily make light of the community garden or of growing a garden, but dismissing it as a revolutionary act, and
I don't think that's the case at all.
I don't either, and the reason why is because like we were talking about, there's been an attack on our food supply.
Yeah.
There's been a deliberate,
Right.
I guess leaching would probably be a decent word, of the, not just the nutrients in our food, but of the soil itself.
Yeah.
And then you seed the clouds with barium and aluminum, spray it on everything,
Yeah. It's a vicious downhill cycle, and just kind of looping back to your first question about the fires. What I'm planning on doing, I would love to have you be a part of it, is after the first of the year, now that the rain has arrived, I'm going to have a get together at my house, and we're going to do a potluck. And the evening is, we're going to create an inner circle of our own phone numbers, our own phone tree, our own, hey, this, and then we're going to put stars by our muscle guys. And we're going to have phone numbers. Yes, our phone system might fail, but but clearly Facebook failed these last two fires. Okay, we cannot rely on knowing where people are or getting a hold of them, or some people don't do Facebook at all. Some people rarely go on it, like me. Whatever.
Right.
But so this is one of the things you can do is start with just a couple people, and you'll see how quickly it's grown. I've got quite a group of people now that are interested in coming to this meeting, and we're going to, here's what you need in your go bag. Here's what you need to do for your animals. Here's what you need to do. Because now this last fire was a quarter mile from my house.
Right.
That was too close for comfort.
Yeah.
However, it was a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
And the first one last year, the first bear fire, I stood in my kitchen for 10 minutes paralyzed. I didn't know where to begin. I spent the entire next week going through my house and getting everything together, and this time my response time was down to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could get out of here with everything that I need, and I really realized how much I didn't need. So this is an exercise, and I think it's important to pay attention to these things. We're going to have these meetings. We're going to get together, and we're going to get, I think it's critically important. You have to 2 months away from your home and 2 months locked into your home with no electricity, no water, no whatever, okay, kind of situation. And I think that this is what we need to prepare for, and it's not against human beings. This is against the elements. This is against earthquakes. This is against when our earth fails us for some reason, and we become victims, whether it's a tsunami or whatever. I think we need to get a community together, and I think we need, and we've got things like CERT and stuff like that. That's all great. But there's a huge number of us that are out there that are still going, we don't feel connected to anything in an instant like this. So I think things like that are worthwhile to do, and getting people together. And again, that's like kind of coming back to community, coming back to home, getting people together and talking about things and communicating, exchanging phone numbers. And I know that this person has a backhoe, and I know that this person has a four-wheel drive truck with a trailer hitch, and I know that this person's got a trailer, and it's that kind of thing. And putting together, I think that is what we need to focus on. That's what's really critical right now, because I am more worried about long-term environmental issues, the earthquakes and the fires and this type of thing. Now we're getting rain, and now on the heels of these fires, we're going to be having a lot of landslides and floods again. And so this is what we need to focus on and keep our energies pooled and our focus pooled. And we don't really have, beyond our elections, a lot of control over what these cuckoo birds are doing in Washington. And I think again, you've got to find some balance. It isn't that we shouldn't be concerned about it, but I don't want to spend a lot of time investing my valuable energy, which is very powerful. I don't want to give them anything. I don't want to give them a damn thing. I want them to just fade away. And I think that's what we need to realize as people, is the power that we do have right in our own hands, in our own homes, in our own pocketbooks, where we spend our money, who we spend it on, local. And it's the only way we're going to come back and take it out of the hands of these big guys. It's the only way. It's just stop giving them your money.
Yeah.
What are they going to do then?
I'm on record begging people to divest from big banks and to, to focus their wallet in their community. I will not stop doing that. I would love to come to your meeting.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. But you're right. It's something that people need to be doing anyway. And the importance of a bug out bag, no matter where you live, having an emergency plan and people that you have already talked to about where you're going to meet, how you're going to, and then how you're going to rebuild.
Yeah. Because it's becoming, it's not even
if you can
anymore about if it's going to happen. It's really becoming more about when. And this is the thing. This awareness for forewarned is forearmed, and we've watched these patterns with the weather. We've watched these patterns with the fire. We've watched this over the last 10 years or so increase, and it's increasing globally. So I think that's something that's really, really worth investing our time and energy towards is getting a really good, solid plan. There's great comfort in that. And we're looking for people that to be calm. We're looking for people that can get through crisis and help others and facilitate. Those are the leaders we're looking for now, is right here at home.
Yeah.
Nobody in Washington. Trump just came out here and what did he actually do for these fires? Nothing. He stood there like a puppet and blew hot air. And so
said the name of the town wrong twice.
Yeah. So
and then looked
again,
at the guy
laughable.
who
It's
mumbled
like,
paradise. Looked at that guy like he had just fucking stepped on his daughter.
And
you know?
really only had to look as far as 2 feet away to each side of him and look at Jerry Brown or Gavin Newsom to see their body language. Just the absolute abject horror and how uncomfortable it is to even be around this person. So this is the thing. Again, we need to be concerned right here, right now with our communities, our homes, our children, our friends, our loved ones, and we need to go back to our tribes. We need to go back home. We need to focus on our pockets and take care of our communities. All that is intangible for the most part and too far away. And this is where we're going to get our support. This is where we're going to get our comfort, and this is where we're going to get our structure. And yes, it takes, but see, that's the thing. Money is the bottom of the karmic scale. And if we do not worry about that, it will come. But everybody focuses on how are we going to do this without money, blah, blah, blah. And it stops them dead in their tracks. Instead of getting creative and pooling people's resources and saying, oh, this guy over here, I know him, he's got all this lumber. And I've got this person over here that's got, he just was going to get rid of all this tag board or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. This is what this time is about. It's about restructuring. I talked about the time of restructuring, repurposing, reusing, recycling. Pick a word. And this is what we need to do. This is what we all need to do in all our communities across the world. And we take the power away from these people by not watching the news, not focusing on them, and leaking all of our vital energy on a daily basis to them and what they're doing when we really don't have a control over that anyhow. It's a great stressor. It's a great worry. And this is part of the purpose, is they want to suck you into this propaganda. And they want to bleed you into utter complacency. And this is what his purpose is, to shake us out of apathy and tear all this apart. Pull out the truth, expose everything, the ugly, ugly.
And when
just horrify people to the point where we're going to bounce back into some kind of, I hope, compassionate world.
When I said I had friends involved in politics, I mean, I do have friends that have ran for office and whatnot, but the route that they are taking, and that I will happily join with them because I'm a serial volunteer. I am a habitual volunteer.
Thank you for that.
Is non-party based advocacy through spreading information about, hey, there's a completely different way that we could be doing this, and this is the pathway to do it. And while you're focusing on shoring up your community, go ahead and take over your city council, and that for every series of non-governmental actions that you do, you have to remember that activism does need a political arm,
right? So
that maybe you can put up a better defense when the white helmets start rolling through. But
well, I mean, the thing is that it's about planting seeds, and what we forget is, I like to look back at the children of the 60s, because I was on the tail end of that, and I was running around in Boulder Creek, a little teeny hippie, and what I ended up seeing as I've come down the road of years, is that the seeds that the hippies planted of love and peace and compassion. Yes, there was Vietnam. Yes, there was all this stuff that came on afterwards. But they did plant those seeds and those ideals. And there were people that got on the boat with that and wanted that. They did like the idea and the vision of a peaceful world. And they've not let go. Those children are now in their 60s and 70s. They're retiring into, it was going, now they were going to retire into their dreams. But now things have kind of flip-flopped. But those seeds didn't go they bloomed, they blossomed, and they spread. And I do believe that that is still an underpinning, those ideals that humans still want as a whole. There's far more of us that want that hippie vision of peace and love and compassion, imagine, than there are people that the media is focusing on, that are walking into churches and killing everybody. Okay, that's a very tiny little percentage. It gets the most media, and it gets blown up, and it gets splashed
sex
all
and
over,
death,
and it's really just a tiny little piece, and we forget this. And I want to see people focus on. I want to go back to the fire thing, and I want to shout out to Kelly Peacock Stir Fry from KBCZ.
Kelly.
She got me through that day, in the sense that she was on the radio. She spoke very calmly.
Oh, and she does the guided
and
meditation,
step
right?
by step by step of what to do. Go get your animal carrier by the door. And the way she did it was she said, it's a full county response, and that's really good.
Yeah.
And so every time she said a sentence, there was a following of, look, this is really good. And there's an effort to turn the perspective around. Let's start looking at what's good, at what's working. And if we focus on that, there will be more of that, because like attracts like. And so I think, again, this is another thing we need to do. We need to start focusing on what's right about the world and not what's wrong, because everything is wrong right now. And that's really hard to do. But until you get into the like attracts like and positive attracts positive, you're just going to get sucked into that whole mishmash with everybody else, and it just spirals downward. There is no ascension in that. There is no spiritual ascension. The ascension is in the positive. The ascension is in breaking away from all of this and moving, elevating to a higher plane of consciousness, a higher vibration of energy.
I believe that 100%.
That these
yeah.
folks don't live in. They're all down, money, down, all of that stuff. So this is this great time of separating out. It's a great time. And those who are not up for evolution, who are not on the fast track of spiritual ascension and awakening, are going to fall away. And it's not for any one of us to say anything about any of that for anyone. We are not responsible, and it's actually not appropriate for any one of us to act in any way that affects anybody else's karma.
I agree with that.
So,
I do. There's in every, or nearly every, form of spirituality or religion, there's this idea that this world is not necessarily real, and that your job is to ascend or achieve enlightenment or whatever, but to get out of this trap, this created, this plane, however you want to word it. There's a lot of synchronicities happening right now in terms of just you being here today and the things that you said. My friends from the Breaking Basic podcast, Claude and Ben. Ben is an Odinist, and one of the things that they discuss frequently on there, say drop frequently on the show, is that Goldveg does not create. Goldveg only destroys, and that's the
Right.
concept of the aspect of money. There's just a ton of different points that you've touched on that have just been a part of
Yep.
this incredible sequence of synchronicities. My friend that I was listening to this morning was begging anyone watching to focus on the good, to be positive, to change their own personal narrative so that it reflects a good aspect, and that when you show that to people, because like you said, like attracts like, or because there's the transfer of energy that you're putting out is recepted or received, that we actually do have the ability to transform our communities. We can. His particular movement is modern monetary theory, but he takes what he does that I love. His name's Steve Grumbine. He's been on the show. He comes with this genuine passion that is, you can tell that it's spiritual in nature, and I think that as long as we understand or come to terms with the fact that we are spiritual beings, then we can lose a little bit of the fear that's being driven into us every day, that's telling us to be divisive and to take a side, but only take a side between these two things.
Yeah.
And then if you take a side outside of those two things, you are a crazy person.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure when we've ever been so polarized in all kinds of directions, on all kinds of things. And to the point it's just gotten, it's dividing everybody up in so many different ways, when in reality we're supposed to be uniting. So even this, it's like, a lot of people are passing away right now, and for lots of different reasons. We do need to reduce the population on the planet by a third. And
so why a third? Where does that come from? Whose suggestion is that?
Well, I mean, I remember years ago saying that to my son, thinking I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say this because my son's an oceanic conservationist, currently getting his doctorate at UCSC, and he looked at me and he said, "Oh, I know, Mom, they teach that to us in high school civics." And I'm like, doing. And so, where it comes from beyond there. But one thing, because people might say, well, where am I getting my information? Me. Part of my shamanic journey was that I was not allowed to have any teachers. I was not allowed to have a shaman. I was not allowed to have a mentor. I had various other teachers and other things. But where do I get my information? I get it from there. It comes 100% intuited from higher guides. That way, it is never, never, never touched by any human opinion that is biased in any particular direction for any particular thing. And I have gone on to doubt this, thinking, I hear voices in my head. It's not exactly like that, but I am given information, and when
do the thoughts just become present?
Sort of, yes. And when I put it out, this happened more times than I can even count anymore. There will be follow-up scientific information that's verifying that what I was given is true. I've been saying certain things for years and years, and now it's finally coming out in NASA. I'm going, I told you.
Yeah.
And so there's all kinds of stuff like this, and this is my validation, because don't think I didn't sit back and go, where am I getting this information? That's really how it ended up evolving, and so I trust that more than anything. And I have, several guides. I've heard other people talk about them as well, and have described things that I've experienced that I've never spoken to anybody. So I'm getting some validation that where I'm getting this information is real, and it's beyond human. I think for me, it's really, really important. My realm is beyond human. It's beyond the human realm. I have to grab whatever out there and then bring it back and say, how can I make this translatable to some person that's only had a high school education in the Midwest somewhere? How do I get to the people?
Do you think that the communication that you have is something that every person can experience?
I think we're all going to, whether
Okay.
we like it or not. And this is getting into
Do you
the
think it
explosion
can be
thing.
taught?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I happen to be born to quite a bit of this, unbeknownst to me, and it started to reveal itself when I was 5. I remember very distinct things. When I turned 45, it all began to reveal. It meant nothing to me at all, which showed me how blind I was as a human, and how this was my life. And then as I really started to make an effort to reach out and learn global things, this is when I started to see that these things that I had experienced were global based. They were intended for the global population, not
Okay.
just like my town or my city or my state or the
Okay.
United States. This was a global thing, and it went far beyond that, and it reached into the realms of aliens. It reached into the realms of the Yeti. I had visitations as a child from a particular alien priest. He's still around, and now they found skulls that were his skull. It's the same people.
That were whose skull?
That this particular species that came to see me, this priest, when I was a child,
Okay.
had a head that was very heart-shaped, actually, with a very large, cleft between the two hemispheres of the brain. Now they have found skulls of these particular individuals in South America, so down by the Nazca lines. So he's still out there. He has let me know that he's still out there.
Wow.
And he may be one of the guides in the background, because he is a priest. Don't laugh.
I know. I mean, it's just
But so this is the thing, is information that was given to me a long time ago, which was limited because I was a child, has unfolded and actually transpired. And so there was a proving of destiny and fate. So part of this I was born to. I think I was actually, there was an intention for me. And when I looked at the structure of my family, and I looked at where I grew up, and I looked at the people that were around me, it's a pretty profound picture. This is what my book gets into. And I also sat back and thought, if this is happening for me, it's happening for others as well. They may not be recognizing it, or they don't know what to do with the information. But I do believe we have fate. I do believe there is destiny. And I do believe that there is an elasticity in time that goes backward and forward. I don't think this is the only reality. Whether they overlap in dimensions, and like you're here and then you're sitting like in another dimension somewhere. No. No, it's not like that. But there is an elasticity, and I think that we do come in and out as a spirit being into different vessels. It's like I can take the milk from the carton, and when that milk carton gets a hole in it and it's no longer functioning, I can pour the milk into the glass. Now, the glass is a different body, but the milk is still the spirit. All right, so this is what it's like, and I think there's a lot of remembering. I think there is a lot of learning, and the reason people are like, why do we have a human body? What's the purpose of this life? The learning curve is profoundly accelerated in a three-dimensional body. So these are really accelerated times. And then you add our accelerated lifetime into the accelerated times of what the Earth and the galactic sphere is going through at the moment. All the planets are realigning. That's why they seem so big. And we're finding other moons. And the sun looks bigger than it did when we were kids. Yeah, all of these things are having to realign. And I believe that the subtle energies are realigning in accordance to a lot of the damage we've done on the planet.
Yeah.
Particularly with our wireless technology. And
we've touched on 5G a little bit on this show before. I am nervous about what's going to happen when there are 5G towers everywhere, and I don't know what we as a community can do other than what we've been doing the last several years whenever somebody tries to put a tower up, but then they just put it up somewhere else without telling anybody.
Well, and that's another thing. You need to get your smart meters off your house.
Yep. Yes, please, everyone,
these
get your
things
smart
are
meter off your
really
house.
Deadly, and what they're doing to the brains, especially to children and elders, and they're totally messing with people's sleep. So these are very dangerous things, and it's coming out that PG&E in using these meters, they have potential to do lots and lots of other computerized things that we don't even know about. So those need to go. And so I think that, these are just things we need to focus on. And again, it kind of comes back to doing stuff in your house and what you can do in your community and locally, and being of service. That's really what this time about being a human being is all about, is being of service to other people. And those are the people that are going to, as a species, evolve. And whether we evolve out to other realms or other locations or whatever it is that's coming, I guarantee something's coming, and it's going to be profoundly huge, and it's going to be stunningly shocking. And people have been being warned for the last 20 to 30 years that this is coming, and they still would rather choose to stick their heads in the sand. The Hopi prophecy has been, it's been activated. And part of that prophecy is, like you were talking about, is this pole shift. We are going to have a very profound 20 to 21 degree pole shift that is really messing with the weather. It's messing with the weather. It's messing with the subtle fields. It's messing with the way the moon orbits the Earth, and the other planets are.
The jet streams, like even science is caught up to the fact that the jet streams are fucked off now.
Well, they have geoengineered the jet stream. It no longer comes in the Golden Gate and goes up over the Sierra Nevadas and down over the Rockies and into the Midwest. They have geoengineered it with our lovely planes and chemtrails down into Arizona. So now Arizona's flooding. They're getting flooded. They're getting our water.
Right.
And it's going up that way, and you can even watch it. There was a map the other day from NASA showing the smoke from the campfire in LA going out past San Francisco Bay, scooping down into LA, pulling the LA smoke, and going right out over Arizona. So and going straight to New York City. So you can
My
now
friend in
see
Portland
that this
was
jet
like,
stream
"We're
is
getting your
really
smoke."
screwed up.
Yeah.
And it's taking all our water out of California. So when they're saying there's been tremendous mismanagement, I will agree with that. But it's mismanagement. This is the one thing. Anyone, any human being in any organization, I don't care who they are, that thinks they're going to play God and know better than the earth and the greater consciousness of the solar system and the galactic universe, they're messing with genetics, they're geoengineering the weather, they're doing all of these things, fracking, you name it. They're all going to tell Mother Earth how she needs to be. And I think that anybody does that is 3 strikes, you're out. You're gone. Okay, you have that arrogance that you are going to come in and say that you've got a better solution than Mother Earth. Really?
Right.
That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line of all bottom lines. And I think everybody ought to find a little humility and a little, and start being grateful for what we're walking around on. Because without her, we are nothing. and everybody acts. I mean, I unfortunately own a piece of property at this point. I don't even believe in humans owning property. I don't think that's an okay thing to do.
I can vibe with that without a problem. I can. That's a belief that I've had for a very long time, and I don't remember if it was Carlin or not who used to do a bit about let's turn golf courses into low-income housing. You know, we've got all this fucking land that nobody can use because some rich fuck wants to walk around on it for 3 fucking hours while he fucking harasses the fucking beer cart girl. Yeah. You know, and
yeah, it's all gets back to the big money machine, and I think that that's really where we need to. If you want to make a difference, you've got to turn your attention away from that whole money piece. You've got to focus on, like we get back to the community and giving things to one another. And you see communities in the height of their splendor, I have to say, as human beings, when we have a catastrophe.
yeah,
And everybody comes out, and everybody's, Red Cross and blankets and, food for the animals, all this stuff shows up. I want to know why people aren't like that on a daily basis.
right.
Right?
Well, because it hasn't the fact that we are in a planetary and fucking socioeconomic and geopolitical and spiritual crisis just hasn't. That's not a part of the narrative, Lori. That's not,
Right. It's every man for himself. So how do you exist in a place where it's every man for himself, and at the same time we need everybody to come together and recreate our communities for the better? So how do you do those two things? If
Right.
everybody's going to be selfish and say, every man for themselves, I'm only going to look out for me, until there's a crisis, and then I'll
Right.
show up.
I guess I'll pitch in. Yeah.
So this is the thing. I think a lot of these problems could be solved by a continual, constant balance of people doing good things. And we focused on being more of service to our communities and more preparedness for things like this. Why do we wait until there's a crisis before we get jackets together?
Right.
Get them together now.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So-
you've got to. I mean, it's when you're talking specifically in terms of like Western civilization. When you're talking about a culture that is rugged individualism and you can. It's you and your family versus the world.
The Yahoo cowboy nature.
Like that, when you're talking about that, it's. I mean, it's cultural. It is. It's and
guess what? It's
what
American
we're talking.
cultural.
Well,
Because you don't
yeah.
see this in Europe.
Eh.
You don't see.
You see
these,
less of it, but
well,
it's
you see
there.
a lot
Yeah.
less of it. I've been in a few countries, and
So
I tell
have
ya,
I. So have I.
I don't see what just the real
it's
narcissism to the height that we've got it going.
Oh
here
no,
in this country.
we're
It's
number
just-
one.
Yeah,
for
certainly are.
that. But undoing what we're talking about is ostensibly undoing our culture in order to get us and I'm with you. I am 100%. I'm absolutely with you on that, and it's something that we're trying to do through the show. It's something we try to do in our own lives outside of this. Just in general, separating the propaganda of that from everyone's life. That's what undoing the culture is. It's learning how to live communally is not the American way, until there's a crisis. And then we all chip in and do our part.
The funny part of it is it was the American way. We lived in Native American tribes, indigenous tribes,
Yeah.
not just Native American, but indigenous tribal peoples, in a circle, in a culture, in a particular group setting where everybody knew their jobs. Those things lasted. Those structural setups lasted for thousands and thousands of years. And suddenly we have this industrial revolution, and our entire country, and then we spread it out to everybody else, just goes to shit. It looks great for a while, but we've been sold such a bag of bad goods. Right on back to Ford when he's making automobiles and he's in bed with the Nazis. Okay, this is becoming a well-known fact. And so our entire culture is based and has a foot in the foundation of Nazism. This is, people need to wake the hell up to this shit. I mean, this is not funny anymore. And you know, you can sit around and go, oh God, the Holocaust, we could do this forever, okay? And they're going to milk this forever. And this is another thing. It's like, we've all lost people by now, okay? To all kinds of wars and tragic, horrible. What's going on the planet right now between manufactured viruses like HIV and pesticides on our food, this is the biggest Holocaust of all time. We are in World War III. Okay, we're in it. You can participate in that, or you can step back and do everything you can to be anti-war, because that's what these people are all doing. They're stirring everything up and putting all people in a stress angst mode about everything from opiates to what the orange pumpkin is going to say today on the front steps of our nation's capital. And it keeps us in these agitated states. There's no healing there. There's no compassion. There's not even hardly an ability. It's like a vampiric sucker, and it's turning us into zombie nation. This is what we're doing. This is what's happening. And the people that want to sit back and go, oh, no, you know,
well, it's the zombie nation thing is directed energy.
Yeah,
it is. That's our friends that we had on from the Breaking Basics show. We discussed this then. The entire layout of cities and freeways and whatnot is just a giant directed energy device. It is, and it's designed to suck as much energy out of you as possible.
And it's succeeding. So this is the thing. If people do not wake up to the fact that these energetic dynamics are so oppressive, they are destroying us. And this is what I'm saying. It's the great time of separation out. You're either going to wake up to this stuff and choose a better, more holistic lifestyle and way to be on the planet, or you're not. The ones who don't choose that, Spirit's going to take care of them. It's just bye-bye. We have no more time. We cannot afford this planet and the amount of time we've got left. We can no longer afford to have people on it that are just, it's all about me, 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 me. We can't do this anymore, okay? The entire dynamic, the entire structure of not just our culture, but we're pretty much the bottom of the barrel, unfortunately.
As humans or as Americans?
As Americans. And what was supposed to be the greatest nation of melting pot of all cultures coming together. You could go down San Rafael. You could walk downtown in San Rafael, and there's an Indian restaurant, there's an Afghani restaurant, there's a Chinese restaurant, there's a Thai restaurant, there's a Japanese restaurant. You can it's like the little world. It's a small world. And you can have the glorious luxury of having any kind of food from any nation you want on any given evening. That's a beautiful thing. But do we see that? No, we don't look at that. We sit and bitch about how, those people from that country, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, intolerance breeds intolerance.
Yeah.
And this is where we've gotten impatient, we've gotten intolerant, and anyone who's not like us. Well, let's just propose that every single one of you instantly turns into a Donald Trump clone. How would that world look? All right, let's celebrate our diversity, because the other side of it, the other alternative is pretty scary. And we're looking at it when we see things like communism in China, when they're all in these little outfits and they all look like they're just clones.
Sure.
And they've got and okay, it is the ultimate form of control. But then why even be human? Why even be? We're so far at that point zombie nation so far away from being the glorious, diverse creation that our creators intended us to be. We weren't born all looking different for no reason. And so this is, this perversion of these ideals that are just so ludicrous and ridiculous. What I find just absolutely stunning is how many people buy into this shit.
Yeah.
It's like, how in the hell did I'll never get over this. How did Hitler manage to convince all these people to do these atrocities? I can't even believe that anyone could have that much charisma and be that dark and evil and have that much power. There's something
Yet you
so
see examples of it
whack
time and
about
time
that.
again throughout history.
I know, right?
Where the most sociopathic and violent people are the ones that are praised, celebrated, and held to positions
and so
of power.
is it that everybody's just scared to say something to their face, or what is it that keeps the others in the rightness from just going, no, I'm not going to let you do this? And we're seeing it again. Everybody's afraid to stand up to Trump. Why? What's this overbloated windbag going to do? What's he going to do? Banish you from the White House? Oh.
Yeah, no, okay.
Oh,
so
come on.
that
Seriously,
what
it's
you're
like,
talking about though is theater.
It's
That's
childish.
political theater.
Adults
It's not
do not conduct themselves in these fashion. Come on.
power drunk fucking,
Ugh.
Narcissistic fucking sociopaths conduct themselves that way.
Well, I
And
guess
we're
that's
not
what I'm saying.
I'm
When's
not
the
trying
American public going to say, you know what, we've just absolutely reached the limit? I can't even believe there's a Trump supporter out there.
Again,
that
I was
believes any of this is okay.
hoping that by Trump getting elected that enough of the population was going to go, holy shit, look, in order to get a Donald Trump as even a candidate for office, let alone become elected, there has to be just a litany of horrific shit on the fucking front end of that. And unless you're examining the litany of horrific shit that we've clearly been through to get to the point to where a fucking game show host / three-dimensional hate crime is the leader of the free world, it's worth examining and understanding, because without that, we're trapped in this thinking that he is a unique monster and everything was hunky-dory until fucking November 9th of 2016. And the simple fact of the matter is that it was not. We were already at income inequality levels that rivaled fucking Egypt in the heyday of the pharaohs. We were already fucking at a place where we had over 800 permanent military bases worldwide, and we don't even get to know how many lily pads they have because they aren't counted among, we had a guy as president who we gave a Nobel Peace Prize to, who went on to start 5 more illegal wars, like, while fucking turning Libya into an open air slave market. Like,
Well, again, it's very complicated, and there's many, many layers, and I think it's one of these things that it's also enmeshed that it's really hard to begin to peel this stuff apart in order to fix it, and so much of it is not revealed. We don't have a transparent government,
right,
at all, not even close, and so how anyone of us people, whether you're an American or anywhere else, can put any kind of trust in this government.
Oh, no, you shouldn't.
You can't. I mean, I think there was a day when we could, but I don't think that's the case anymore. And I don't know. I'm just personally delighted to see women coming in. I'm personally delighted to see women of various ethnicities. And I think we're past the time. We've entered the age of Aquarius, and that is a feminine-based sign that is about emotion and washing the spirit clean and purification. This is, again, the Hopi prophecy is about purification, and Mother Earth and the ocean washing the land clean and washing the people clean. And we're going back to the time of the great female. So these fellows, again, have had their a galactic age, and it's done. And it isn't because I'm saying so or anybody else who's walking the earth right now. These are galactic time scales that have nothing to do with human reality at all.
No,
Really.
but at the same time, it is becoming more of a part of more people's reality that it is an unsustainable and crumbling empire.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. The pushback on it is, it manifests exactly how it's been manifesting, and we can't get through this without uh, more destruction. But the fact that there is a through this to get to, I think um, is what we can actually plan for. That's what
I think
the
you're all going to be terribly surprised what's going to come down the pike.
not I mean, at least in terms of plan for, in that we're shoring up our communities. We're becoming the types of beings that will be able to
Yeah.
that's the preparation. That's the fucking the service work, all of that. It's but what who's going to be we're all going to be surprised, or
I think so,
like
and I think that we just need to keep busy with, there's a certain amount of destiny for our lives that puts us in a particular place, and then there's a certain amount, it's like 50-50, there's a certain amount of you acting on stuff. And this is the interplay of karma in people's lives. It's like you're born into something. And I often tell people when they're sitting around complaining about how, whatever, I said, look, you were born into a particular station in life. Your station is you were born into California as a male or female in a middle class family that was pretty, you had your needs met. You weren't born in Africa digging through a garbage of a 20-foot pile of United States plastic bags
right.
looking for your dinner or lunch on a daily basis. And so I encourage people to remember that. Remember the station you were born into. Remember the economic level you were born into. You were put there for a reason. And this fear mongering about, oh God, money, 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 and I've got to go out there and make $65 billion. Why? You can't take it with you. And unless you're going to be a service to other people with that money, at this point in time, that will do you no good. You're on the hit list spiritually. So money's the lowest karmic vibration, and I encourage people to turn away from that focus. I'm not saying that you don't have to have your needs met. You do. But remember your station and do with it what you can. We were all given a talent. In the Middle East, talent is a form of money. You are intended to use your talent to earn your way through your life and to help other people with that. And so you see these trends and these ideals and even the uses of the names and stuff go down through the ages. And there's a lot to be learned in this ancient wisdom that we're not paying any attention to. We just think that, somehow this new technology, the internet, has got all the answers. And it doesn't. There's so much that we're missing inherently as wisdom within us. This is part of what my job is to translate all this as a shaman, because we see things that people don't see. We see trends and we see patterns down through the ages. And there's a connected mindfulness, there's a connected consciousness that we are, partly destiny, partly you asked if you could train somebody or it could be taught. Some of it. But no, this is really, this is why, everybody's on the shaman boat right now. Oh, you want to be a shaman? Anybody who's charging money for shamanism is not a shaman.
I agree with you 100% right there.
And so that's the thing. It's not something to be made money off of. Quite the opposite. And it's information that is vital. It has been kept private and secret for reasons from humans, and now it was predicted that this time would come when the shaman would come out and begin to talk about this stuff, and like you say, what can we do that's a higher purpose? What can we do to elevate ourselves, our loved ones, our families, and our friends out of this terrible vortex of evil that's now taking over our country, and spreading its tendrils out into the world and doing horrible things like in India,
Yeah.
with Monsanto. So we've talked about these things before, but I think again, it's all just sort of coming back to center. Come back to center. Everybody, come back to center, and begin to look at your lives and what you do and who you hang out with and where you make your choices. Choice has never. We have a great, great freedom of choice, and even the angels will not intercede if you don't ask them. And they're all up there going, God, I wish humans would put us to work. They're not going to help you if you don't ask them. And if you start asking them and stop being silly about it, I think you're going to notice that they're really going to step in and they're going to make a difference in your world. They change mine constantly. And I can ask for something and I'll turn around and it's like, damn. They are listening and they are real. And guess what? They're as real as you, because every human being on this planet is an angel incarnate. And we all incarnated. This is why we have this huge population right now. At the time of the world wars, everybody just started coming into bodies. It was like all angels, all hands on deck. So everybody came in to start to try to do something to make this place a better place. And that's been a rough go.
Yeah, that's putting it diplomatically.
Think about who you are as angels incarnate. Think about the power that enables you to have, and start using your power of choice. If you don't put your order into the restaurant, you will not get served. It's the same thing with up above. If you don't tell them what you need, then they can't give it to you. All right? And I mean, don't be greedy. But the thing is that we really have to polarize our ideas and what we want to start envisioning for the future. Everybody's squawking about the future, but has anybody sat back and envisioned any kind of a utopian environment that we can all live in? Just imagine, like John Lennon said, imagine us all in this United States, and it's absolutely a perfect utopian, paradisical society. Has anybody taken any time to imagine that? We can't make it if you don't imagine it. You can't build the house if you don't draw the blueprints, and you can't draw the blueprints until you have a vision.
A lot of the work that we're doing, through not just the show, but with other organizations that I'm involved in, is just that. It's 100% doing that. Like, don't come to me unless you already have solution in hand with what it's going to look like, how the logistics work, and who best in this particular group is suited to accomplish which part of which task.
Exactly.
It's a new thing as far as I know, for people to operate that way, but it's happening within the community at large that I am involved with. Again,
Rebuilding and
voluntarily.
restructuring. And we're going to see this with the campfire, because it wipes out paradise completely. And here we've got to rebuild this entire town, rebuild and restructure. So let's, I'm interested to see what they're going to do. How is this going to come together? How are they going to put this town back? So this is something that is going to be really interesting to watch, and how the community comes together, who brings what,
right,
in order to contribute to this, because you're talking about a sizable dollar figure, no doubt. But this is a place where I don't know that any dollar figure can replace a lot of this, and it's going to take people. It's going to take the good hearts of people to put this all back together, and it's pretty much the same with anything, I think. It's what it gets down to, is are we going to be good-hearted and good-minded, and and from there, anybody that makes that choice, if intention is everything. If you have that choice to be in that space, you're going to attract the positive people you need to make things happen. You're going to be surprised at the synchronicities and the coincidences, because you're putting yourself on that vibrational frequency. It's like tuning into a radio station, and it's burp, 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 and then you find it and it's clear, and suddenly there's all the information. And that's exactly what it's like, and how we can live our lives and make better choices. And I just really would like to see people using their God-given power of choice to make better choices, to come together with people.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't. That's an awesome way of putting it. I have to pee really bad. So we can take like a 2-minute break or we can wrap. It's entirely up to you.
Well, I'm just not sure how much more you want to go over. We've covered a lot of bases.
You're right, we have.
Which we have a tendency to do. There's a lot to cover.
Well, cool.
But,
we can save whatever if you want to come back again sometime.
Yeah. And I would like to, because I sort of mentioned it earlier, talk more about who's out there and what they're doing to help us.
I would love that. I would, absolutely. It is always awesome to talk to you whenever we do get to chat.
It's fun.
And I thank you so much for coming on. We missed you today, Sarah.
We did.
But yeah,
Next
we've
time.
got a lot of a lot of really good people that are going to be coming through, and I'm really glad that you came back again, because when you were here the first time, like what we talked about ended up setting the tone for the next several guests. Like it all came back around to it.
It was a lot.
And well, a recurring theme really is that intent is everything, and it's the energy that has come out of this show has seen a lot of really good things come out of it, because we do understand that the intent that is put into it is what is going to determine the outcome. So we're really careful with that, and we're really aware of and respectful of that, and I you're one of the people that help make that happen, so I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I just these are crucial times, and the more we spend time talking and being together and communicating, I think again there's comfort in that, comfort in the connection, and that's how we're going to get through this, because it is a scary time. There's no question.
Fucking weird, that's for sure.
I do think that once we get, I can't even say how long, but I think once we get over this tense hump, right, that we're going through right now, this crescendo of changing of the times, I think it's going to change dramatically, and I think it's going to be a lot better world. And we are seeing twinkles of that with, new technology and ocean cleaning and windmills.
Oh no, the capability is there.
there.
Everything's all there.
And that's good.
Except for
Right, Kelly?
except for the intent of the people who are in power. So we've got to change that dynamic.
Yeah.
And,
Well, just the more we ignore them and we don't give them anything, the less power they have. If they don't have us to push around, what are they going to have? They're all depending on us to suck and buy into all this and get sucked into it. And if you refuse to get involved and get sucked into it within reason, I'm not saying you shouldn't try to have an understanding about what's going on or stay informed, but I'm saying don't let it take over your life and go down the rabbit hole, because that's exactly what they're banking on. They want you in their pocket of collusion. This is what they want. So I think if we can just another place, opportunity for balance, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right on. Very
All
good.
right.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Fun talking.